Let's bring in our friend Chris Long, Greenlight Podcast and Inside the NFL on the CW on Tuesdays back here on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, Christopher?
Rich, what's up, man? I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. So which is the storyline that leaps out to you? I'll give you the dealer's choice from the Week 2 Sunday. What do you got for me on that, Chris? What leaps out to you the most?
Probably Chris Jones looking like Chris Jones, which I don't know why we were surprised. But in a game like that, when the offense was sloppy, I mean, they're benching tackles. They're leaving points on the board, all types of stuff. The defense stepping up. The pressures went up from, I think, like 13 last week as a team to like 24. So collectively, the impacts felt, but also if you went through every money down in that game, he affected all of them. I think he had 5 pressures on third down, 1 on fourth. They don't win that game without Chris Jones. That was a great performance. And it's like 100 degrees out there. My man came off the long break and looked great.
Yeah, and defensively, I mean, that's what would give me so much hope as a Chiefs fan normally. But just to see what you're talking about against a team that wants to, for a second straight week, put your pelt on their wall to put wind in their sails. But that's what it is like to defend a Super Bowl championship. So to see that, as you know, how difficult it is to defend a Super Bowl championship, to see that in Jacksonville after what happened against Detroit, despite, the offense not looking like it's on tilt, I thought that was huge, Chris.
I think the offense came along in the middle of the game. Jacksonville kind of gave them life with that fourth down, and they did a really good job in the middle 8. They had some nice drives. And then on top of that, I think the biggest theme is offensively and as a team, but mostly offensively, the new guys have to buy in and make the plays that they're being asked to make. Tony had the drops last week. It looked like for a second he's the shot in the arm they needed. They targeted him like 3 times in a row. They got something going. Then he puts the ball on the ground. Tackle, obviously, that's a well-beaten path. But Watson with a fumble, like guys that are supposed to step up in this era of Kansas City Chiefs football have to step up. And I think defensively, you nailed it. They can hang their hat on that. Snead did a great job. We were like, what's going to happen with Ridley? He kept him bottled up. And Spags talks about it. They have 2 guys that can play inside and out. McDuffie in the slot last week, Snead in the slot this week. I thought the defense looked great.
Well, and I think you're referring to when you said fourth down, the Jaguars going for it in midfield late in the game on fourth down. And so I don't think Peterson would have ever done that, say, last year, right? Like that is an indication what others may see on tape of this offense and think, well, we'll give him a shot. Our defense has done very well so far. And that did maybe that's something when do guys, when they come off the field or when the offense goes on the field saying, what the hell do they think they're doing? Like, let's show them. Does that actually happen?
Mean, there's definitely a little bit of a like, oh, we're being disrespected. They think they can pick this up, that sort of thing. But I also think people know Doug, can be a little bit aggressive. This was a situation where, for me, it was a little bit of a head scratcher because you're playing that game in phase, punt the ball, play defense. That offense hadn't gotten going. So, that's the way it shook out for him, though, taking that risk.
Chris Long here from Greenlight Pod, as well as Inside the NFL here on the Rich Eisen Show. What in the world is going on in the Jets locker room right now? I mean, Sauce Gardner deleted his Twitter account or X account. Breece Hall deletes a tweet where he had 4 football emojis, meaning 1 for each carry he got yesterday. Yeah. Zach Wilson with 3 interceptions to finish the game. What do you think is going on there right now, Chris?
It's just a tough emotion, man. It's like a letdown. It's another letdown for the Jets. Obviously, Rich, I'm not trying to, make light of y'all's fandom, but it's like Groundhog Day. It's just with some little different twist and, all the buildup with Hard Knocks and the whole thing. And now I think for those players, and this is where I get into trouble as an analyst, Rich, is like, I believe you should give your guys a shot to win. You should burn the ships to do that. I look at them having that first round pick that they didn't anticipate having. And you've got a locker room full of guys, especially on defense. You could point to any number of them and be like, these guys are playing their best ball. Are they going to waste it? Now, they didn't play great yesterday, but I'm talking about, they have talent on defense, and it's hard to play defense on a team that's going 3 and out and there's sudden changes. Offensively, you got guys like Garrett Wilson. It's like, my entire legacy is tied to the quarterback play. And for this team, I think the window was open this year. So I look at this and you see the stuff on Twitter, the football emojis, it's a little early for wide receiver tweets from a running back. And you have a number of like red flags here. And I just think they got to go out at some point. Now it's early because the teams that might give you a quarterback like Minnesota, they're probably thinking, we can't do that week 2. It doesn't look great. Like, we're trying to win, right? And Kirk's look good. But I do think you got to go out and get somebody. And I don't think it can be Carson Wentz or some other found piece like a Joe Flacco. Like, this team deserves a shot to win the whole thing, a shot. And, they put that work in. They've constructed the roster. And here's what I don't understand from coaches. Mm-hmm. You trade for Aaron Rodgers, and Joe Douglas is my guy. And you say, we're doing what we have to do to win. We didn't have what we had here, or we don't have what we need here. We're going to go out and make this move. Well, what's changed? Like, nothing's changed. And basically what you're saying week 2 is it's not important enough. We're just going to roll with what we had last year. You can dress it up however you want, but you're making a decision to go with the status quo. And listen, some people thought I was being hard on Zach Wilson, but some of the same mistakes showed up. And I know that game's not the way they want to play it, but the same Zach showed up in certain spots.
Well, and the guy who I think single-handedly put Zach Wilson in a dustbin for many Jets fans and maybe some of the defenders in the locker room is coming to town at 0-2 next week. Belichick, who, as you know, this is a red-letter game to begin with, but this is also a red alert game for his team. My gosh, this is just not unfolding the way that you'd want for the Jets. Honestly, like, I don't know what some of these defenders in the locker room might be saying. They, Garrett Wilson says they're all together, but this is on Robert Saleh's plate, I guess. I don't know, Chris.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, I've been on defenses where the offense didn't hold up their end of the bargain. Like, I've been on teams where we held Marshawn Lynch to 24 yards on a Monday night and lost. Like, it's frustrating. You try not to make it personal. You try not to take it out on the guys on the offensive side of the ball. At least I think what they have going is they know it's the quarterback, right? Like, there are other deficiencies, but I like the O-line. I like Garrett Wilson. I like Lazard. You've got tight ends like Breece Hall. They have pieces offensively. So you're not going to look over in that room and blame everybody. But where it gets really hairy is, like, we've seen this movie and Zach Wilson didn't have a lot of leash.
Well, I mean, Broncos fans saw this movie too. One last one for you on this, and you know where I'm going. Because, again, the offensive coordinator was brought in first. Nathaniel Hackett was brought in. We all know why they brought him in, right?
Yeah.
And so now it's his job to coordinate an offense for a quarterback who might not grasp most of the playbook, half of the playbook, even at 3/4 of the playbook. And then he's the one who was dialing up the passes. He was the one who went away from the run. Do you think Nathaniel Hackett can, if you will, hack it under this circumstance, Chris?
Well, the evidence isn't there to suggest that he would be able to. Like, even if they brought in another quarterback, it's not his guy. Like, him and Aaron have, like, a history, and obviously that's why he's there. It's like inviting somebody to a fancy dinner who's got a famous +1. And then they have a rain check, and you're like, it's just you. Like, I don't mean this like disrespectfully, but but it's and Hackett's a good coach. But the whole situation was predicated. There's a reason he was a head coach. He's a good coach.
Right.
But, like, there's a difference between being a good coach, good coordinator, the whole thing. And, I kind of wondered how it would play out with Rodgers, right? Because, you kind of assume, hey, from a scheme standpoint, they got it down. He's going to have his menu. But, like, do you really believe that there weren't going to be bumps in the road, even with Hackett calling the plays kind of de facto as a group, getting it done? And the problem is with Zach, you can't run a lot of the stuff that you want to run. Like, in that first game, they ran like an RPO in the second half, and he messes up the read, and the run game's a plus, but, like, do you turn his back to defense? You can't make checks that Aaron made. You got to work the half field stuff. Like, everything about it is different, and I just wonder how it's going to work out, even with a new guy.
Chris Long, right here on the Rich Eisen Show in his usual Monday spot before he goes to do Inside the NFL on the CW, as well as the Greenlight podcast with Kyle. And and his crew. So we haven't discussed Seattle, what Seattle did in Detroit yesterday.
What a game.
I mean, the Lions left banged up, to say the least.
Yeah.
And Seattle just put its foot down after getting punked at home to the Rams. How do you think this will serve Seattle moving forward, Chris?
I think it's going to serve them good. Obviously, last year they come out in the first game and they're in a totally different spot where they're gunning for somebody. And now they come out week one and everybody thinks the Seahawks are going to roll. The Rams pick them apart. They pick on a young corner. They don't run the ball. Then they go 10 days rest. Detroit's waiting for them. It's everybody's sweetheart team. And they don't have any tackles. I mean, Lucas is down, Cross is down. They lose both of them week one. And so this is such a big boy win for Seattle. I mean, to go in there on the road, Geno throwing the ball to about 10 different receivers, really efficient, a lot of balls to tight ends. I thought they did a great job. And I thought the young guys in the secondary, one of them that got picked on last week, he came out and made the play of the game. And I don't want to not shout out Nwosu, who got home there to force that. Also had a forced fumble. Witherspoon with his first big play on fourth down of his young career. Like, guys are growing up on that team. And from the Lions standpoint, be who you are. You know, like, I'm a big fan of the way Dan does things. I'm a huge Dan Campbell fan. If you're running flea flickers and you're going for it on fourth down and you're wheeling and dealing and you burn a minute 15 running 3 plays with a chance to win this thing in regulation because you're worried about the Seattle offense, well, guess what? You can get the ball back anyways. So my problem with that is at the end of that game, go try to win it, especially with a kicker that's giving you 6 points back in Myers. So big win for Seattle. And then for Detroit, don't forget who you are. You know, you can't, now that you've arrived, don't be the team that's playing afraid to win. And it's the one time I've disagreed with Dan on not being aggressive enough.
And here's a sports talk radio conversation in our few minutes we have left with you, Chris Long. You can only put, because we're talking about Eagles, Cowboys, Niners, obviously being 2-0. You can only put your marker on one for saying their 2-0 start is real. Commanders, Bucks, Falcons. Which
Falcons.
Oh,
Falcons.
you
Falcons
stutter.
are good. Yeah, Falcons are a good team. Like, I don't know if a lot of people are watching the Falcons, but you know, if it's not for the quarterback, I probably picked them to win the NFC South. I went with the Saints, but you know, they run the ball so well. Bijan Robinson, the way they go off tackle, and you know, the fortitude to pitch the ball on a 4th and 1. Arthur Smith, everybody's favorite analytics head coach. I mean, he's going for it on every 4th down. They get the ball on the edge. Tough matchups for second level defenders on Bijan in the run game. And I thought Jordan Love as well deserves some credit, and the Packers, because they're a good football team, and this is a tough road test for them. You know, Love's got the ball right on tight end's hand at the end of the game. This could go either way, but I just thought the Falcons did such a great job in the run game. And I mean, Ritter's going to throw you a couple. They come out after that Wicks touchdown and ran the ball 15 times in a row. It was like, we don't trust you this drive. Settle down, buddy. And they go and score. And that's the thing, is like, they're a good enough team to go to the playoffs and maybe win that division, but the quarterback just worries me.
So you think the clock's ticking on Heineke, Chris?
I don't know. They both throw you a few, but you know, like, if somebody's going to throw you a few, at least give me some magic with it. And I think Heineke's got that magic. Now, Ritter's really athletic. He was able to hurt him with his legs a couple times. I'm not saying give him the hook, but I am saying, like, this is one of those teams where the young quarterback has to catch up to the team because they're good and they're ready to win.
So, and I think this is, being the last one I got for you, a testament to what's going on over there, that I'm not going to go in any other direction with the National Football League and ask your 2 cents on Colorado's win over Colorado State. Words I didn't think I'd ever ask anybody in the history of this program, but this is the Deion effect, to say the least, where plays galore just being discussed nonstop, even today after week 2 in the NFL.
Talking about it on an NFL show. My show this morning, we're talking about Boulder. I'm like, it's awesome.
You have at it, Chris. What's on your mind about it after seeing it?
Well, as a guy who went to sleep in the third quarter, all I wanted to do was stay up for the handshake. Like I was like, I'm fading and I'm sleeping on the couch up in my kids' room because I got home, did a sleepover, and I'm sitting there on the laptop and I'm like, I'm not going to make it, man. And third quarter, I was out like a light, but I woke up and could not believe what they did. And such a gut check win for Colorado. And I think Deion is brilliant. I really do. I have so much respect for the guy, but also as a head coach, like he's playing chess, in my opinion. Okay. Like
How
number
so?
one, Norvell brought the drama to his front door with the commentary, right, on the sunglasses and the hat. Now you could let that go, but he leans all the way into it. I think that's smart in general because teams that think it's personal, Rich, they play harder. But this is a look ahead week. You've got Colorado State coming in, and I know you can't do this every week, but you got USC and Oregon coming up. This is a perfect look ahead week at home. He leaned into the rivalry. And then after the game, what I loved, and you want to see people getting along, man, even after all the BS that went on the field, and I didn't like the hit and everything. But him and Norvell at midfield, I'd really love to know what was said. And Deion going to the podium and saying, hey, listen, man, I'm not going to drag this out. I'm rooting for the guy. We'll let bygones be bygones. I think he's an incredibly socially intelligent guy. And I think people underestimate how well he knows the game, as if we would, but it's like, oh, guy's never coached. Guy played corner in the National Football League. He knows today's game, even though the passing game's changed. He sees the game from the back end. And so I think it's just a great opportunity for them to seize the moment in Boulder. And I think it's a repeatable, careful with this, but I think it's a repeatable blueprint if you have the right guy. Now he's one in a million, but like Ed Reed, one of my favorites, he could motivate me to go play right now. He'd bring in NIL opportunities, transfer portal stuff. I know there was the Bethune thing, but I'd love to see like an Ed Reed get a shot.
Me too. I would as well. And Prime was on the show Friday, said he's up for having Warren Sapp be as his D-line coach, and he said that coaches here don't have to, you're not burning the midnight oil here. Like you come in the morning, you got practice, then you do some stuff here, and then by the middle of the afternoon, go live your life. And that's what he said. And Deion also sees the game from the outside in as a receiver, right? So he's got both ends. And the fact that he's going into the Oregon and USC games without Travis Hunter is a damn shame. How is that kid not ejected? How is that not even targeting? Like, what is going on?
I don't know. I think it was so like late and non-standard that people were just like, I have no frame of reference. Like, do I throw this kid out? Like, I've never seen anything like this.
Right.
And I love rivalries, and I love the talk back and forth, and I love the physical play. Everything was inbounds for the most part, but that was not cool. So I just love talking about Colorado. It's good for college football. People were all afraid of this era, afraid of Deion, afraid of like things changing. It's better. We're talking about college football. It's week 3. 4 weeks from now, we might not be talking about them, but we have gotten a month out of these guys.
No doubt. No doubt. Who's on your pod this week, Chris?
So we've got Victor Cruz.
Nice.
And he's going to be joining us Wednesday, and later in the week, Stanford Steve, the most famous guy in the world. He's on, he's out there on game day. So
Green Light with Chris Long. Check out his podcast every single day, whenever you can, whenever it's out there. And then, of course, Inside the NFL on the CW. Chris, remind me if Susie and I ever go to dinner with you and your wife, never to cancel on you, okay? Remember, you're going to write that down. Do not cancel on the Longs.
I don't do dinners, but I imagine if there's these guest lists and Hackett shows up without Rodgers, it's like,
what am I going to do with this guy for the next 2 hours? All right, thanks, Chris. Greatly appreciate it.
See y'all.
Yeah, it's the one and only. Thanks, at Joel, number 91 on all social media, and La Flama Blanca on Instagram. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.